Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here on my YouTube channel. I am, of course, your host, John Campea, and it is an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, our international friends, gathered around as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all sorts of good things. And oh, the marvels of technology. Robert Meyer Burnett's internet is out at his house, but no problem. In today's tech, you just set up your phone and you start talking to us through your phone. Rob, how you doing?
John, I'm doing well, and I want to give a shout out to Connie at the Experiential Engagement Department at JBL, because she had sent me these headphones, these gaming headphones, and I had no reason to use them until now. So here you go. Look at that. Thank you, JBL.
Yes, and it, just in time. So it's a good thing you had those things. How was your weekend, my friend? How was your weekend and all things like that? How's your week been? Oh, because we haven't had you around much this week.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been very busy. I did launch our film festival. The entries for the Intergalactic Imagination Connoisseurs Film Festival are they should be up now. The poster contest ended, but I've been doing lots of good work. I have to say I really enjoyed posting a clip from Movie Trailers: A Love Story. I love that you dropped that clip. I sent it to everybody I know, and awesome. The feedback has been resoundingly excellent.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know what Rob's talking about, I put up on my YouTube channel, you'll find it there, put up on the YouTube channel, we put up our first clip from the documentary coming up. And again, if you are a Patreon supporter, keep your eyes open, because I'm going to be hosting a private screening with myself and say anywhere between 15 to 30 of our Patreon supporters. We'll do an online screening of it together. So guys, keep your eyes open for that. And speaking of movies, guys, this is a movie show. We talk a little bit of television and stuff like that too, and we have a few things to talk about here today. We're going to start off today with the first half of the show talking about specific topics that we've got lined up. And then in the second half of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. How do you get a live comment or question on? Well, if you look in the top line of the description of this video, you're going to see a tip link, or you can enter it in manually, streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. You just go there and send in your comment or question, and it'll get on the show if it's reasonable. And of course, you'll be supporting the channel at the same time. Also, guys, don't forget, if you have not done so already, make sure you take a second and click on that subscribe button. Become a subscriber to the John Campea YouTube channel. It'll keep you up to date with all the things that we've got going on here. Okay, guys, we've got one thing off the top to discuss, and that is this. Rob, we have known that Robert Zemeckis has been working on a Witches remake coming out. Of course, Angelica Houston starred in the 1990 version of that one. Now we've got Anne Hathaway. Now, it was scheduled to come out on October 9th originally, and, you know, none of us expected it to actually be able to make that release date. Well, it's not only not making that release date, it's going to HBO Max, and it's coming out this month. It's coming out later this month in time for Halloween. They dropped the trailer for it today. And look, a couple things about this story that stand out to me. Number one is, you know, as the further and further we get into this pandemic, we have always said that the longer and longer this thing goes, you're going to see more and more movies opt, I mean, not the majority of them, but you're going to see more and more movies opt to jump over and go to and embrace a streaming model, because not only is 2020 completely packed, 2021 is becoming overly packed. And now some movies, if they move, they're going to have to either go into shark-infested waters with a really heavily packed 2021, or they're going to have to look at pushing all the way to 2022. And for some films, it's just going to make more sense to go straight to streaming. That's what they decided to do with Witches, because listen, launching a film like this around Halloween time, that's ideal. It's the ideal move for a project like this one, Rob. So this one makes sense. I get it. And if you watch the trailer, I mean, I thought the trailer looked very charming and fun. But here's the thing about it. It also very much to me looked like a straight to streaming movie. And I don't, normally you say that and it could sound like you're making negative connotations. I don't know how to explain that. I don't mean that negatively. Like, I watch it and it looked like a charming, maybe kind of fun, definitely straight to streaming kind of movie. And I know that carries negative connotations, but I swear I mean that in a positive way. So I thought it looked pretty good, to be honest with you. And this is not shocking news. I mean, they caught everybody by surprise, but honestly, Rob, not shocking news when you really think about it.
Right.
Rob, what did you think about that original one with Angelica Houston? And what do you think about this move they're making now, going straight to HBO Max so quickly?
Well, first of all, I love the original. I'm a huge Roald Dahl fan. You know, I grew up reading Roald Dahl's work, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, James the Giant Peach, Danny the Champion of the World. I really liked the original film. I thought it was pretty terrific. I love Angelica Houston, but in terms of this remake, I think Robert Zemeckis is the perfect director to bring this material to life. I love Anne Hathaway, and I think, you know, John, this isn't probably a $200 million movie, and I think that putting it on HBO Max is the right move. I think they want new subscribers. We're getting a brand new piece of A-list content made by A-list creators, starring a pretty A-list actress, depending on what you think of Anne Hathaway. I think it's great. I do, and I think, you know what? This is the beginning. We are watching the beginning of the future. I hope we're not watching the end of theatrical distribution, but we're definitely seeing people are having to deal with this pandemic. And I think getting this movie out for Halloween on HBO Max is a really good move for everybody.
Yeah, again, it's going to be played differently from film to film, and definitely the longer we get into this pandemic, again, it's going to increase the number of films that maybe need to look at doing this. This does, to me, Rob, I agree with you. This looks like the prime candidate kind of movie to do a move like this, because you don't want to push this one off a full year till next October. And next October, by the way, is already getting kind of crowded. So you don't want to move it to October of 2022. So it does seem to be a good move. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Were you caught by surprise? Do you think this is a smart move for a film like this? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's now move into our main topics today. And how do we select our main topics here in the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple. You see, you guys come up with them by going anytime 24/7 over to www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question, whatever big issue you think you see. Fill it on out there. It's totally free. Hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your submission featured as a main topic here on the John Campea Show. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 1, shall we? And our first main topic today gets submitted to us by Sam, who writes, "Greetings from the UK, John." Well, greetings, Sam. "So Marvel have cast their Ms. Marvel, Iman Vellani, a good Canadian girl, by the way, Rob. Iman Vellani, it seems this is her first major role. As I can't find her on IMDb, this is a huge first role. I don't doubt Marvel's casting. Their track record is good. Is this a risky move? Thanks, and keep it filthy." All right, man. Thanks a lot for sending that in. And yes, indeed, they have. This is the second big casting in a row that's been announced, Rob, for the MCU that involves a good Canadian girl. So we've got a man here. We had Tatiana just announced, of course, for She-Hulk. I mean, MCU's going all Canadian. It's the Marvel Canadian universe, ladies and gentlemen. But yes, I mean, you do raise a good point. They have gone out and gotten themselves pretty much, very much an unknown actress. They've gone out and got themselves very much an unknown actress in this young girl. It's funny because yesterday we didn't do a regular episode of the John Campea Show. We just put out a podcast yesterday. And one of our Patreon supporters asked a very similar question to this. They asked, isn't this rolling the dice a bit? Like, isn't this shouldn't you go with more proven talent for something like MCU? Let's face it, MCU is the big leagues, Rob. It's the big leagues. So shouldn't they be going with some more proven talent? And here's what I said on the podcast yesterday, and I'll say it again today. First of all, Ms. Marvel, or Kamala Khan, is supposed to be younger. I mean, she's a kid. So you're already a little bit limited in how much experience you're going to find with somebody in that role anyway. But to me, it's never been about, are they a popular name? To me, it's never even been about experience, really. It's always been about talent.
Right.
And I'm always okay as long as you find somebody who's talented. You know, when Chris Hemsworth, when they cast him as Thor, nobody knew his name. Like very, very few people in the public knew his name. And we've seen that happen a number of times throughout a lot of big films. The question, though, is when they talk to her trainers and when they watch her and they review her tapes and when they bring her in, can they, as the casting people at Marvel, look at her and clearly see she's got it? I mean, she's got it. She has that talent. And as long as they continue to do that and make talent the number one thing on their priority list, then I'm good. Then experience. Look, Rob, again, when you look at Rob, remember when they cast Ray Fisher as Cyborg?
Right.
Like a lot of people were huffing and gruffing. It's like, oh, never even heard. He's like, dude, this guy comes from Broadway. This guy is clearly talented if that's where he's coming from. So yeah, he doesn't have any big movies to his name. That's fine. So that's why when they first announced him, I was pretty excited about him. So I got no sample size for this young girl, Rob. Got no sample size for it at all. But hey, listen, if they're just going for talent and if they think she's got it, Marvel has earned from me when it comes to their casting for the most part, they've earned the benefit of the doubt. So I'm good with this. And of course, I'm a little biased that it's a good Canadian kid getting the role. Anyway, Rob, they've cast Ms. Marvel. You and I were just talking about this the other day about how, hey man, how come we're not seeing any real, I mean, I heard some director stuff, but not any real movement on Ms. Marvel. We've got it now. What do you think about it?
Look, I think it's terrific. And, you know, it's always, I think, better. Well, maybe not better, but when you're doing something new like a Miss Marvel, this is where you make a star. You break a star, not make or break. It's make and break. You're breaking her to the world. You're making her a star. And I think what's great about it is it's going to allow this up and coming actress to bring us a character we've never seen before, acted by a girl we don't know. So I think it adds to the whole uniqueness of doing a Miss Marvel series, and it can only, I think, be a good thing. And you've got to hand it to Marvel, man. They've cast the MCU rather impeccably well when it comes to their heroes. So again, I actually have to say, I'm kind of excited to see this actress take on this role. I think we're going to get something good.
I agree. Again, listen, I don't have the sample size to say definitively she's going to be good, but I agree with you, Rob. I think they've earned the benefit of the doubt, and their casting has, for the most part, been impeccable. So let's see how this turns out. Question is, guys, what do you think about the casting? Is it a problem for you that it's not a name that you recognize? For some people, it is. How do you think about it? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down and out of the way, let's move on to main topic number 2, shall we? And our second main topic today gets submitted to us by Dustin Crawford. And Dustin Crawford writes, "Hey, John and crew." Hello there, Dustin. "I saw that Oscar Isaac," Rob, I knew you were going to be itching to talk about this one. "I saw that Oscar Isaac and Jake Gyllenhaal have signed on to play Francis Ford Coppola and Robert Evans, respectively, in the upcoming drama about Francis called Francis and the Godfather, which is set to chronicle the tumultuous, chaotic production of the classic film. I love both of these actors, and I love The Godfather. Who doesn't? What do you think about this news?" All right, man. Thanks a lot for sending this in. And yeah, listen, Rob, it was only maybe about a month or two ago that you and I started talking about the fact that we actually get a big kick and have a love of like movies about the making of certain movies. Like, for instance, I really like Saving Mr. Banks, the Tom Hanks, where Tom Hanks plays Walt Disney. Colin Farrell played the creator of why am I freezing on the name of Mary Poppins? Mary Poppins, in the making of that, big into that sort of stuff. And anyway, kind of out of nowhere, I had not heard anything about this project before. I had heard nothing about it. But along comes this thing called Francis and the Godfather. They're going to make a movie about the making of The Godfather. Now, Rob, to a lot of people, the only debate in the movie world for a lot of cinephiles is, which is the greatest movie of all time, The Godfather or The Godfather Part 2? Like, for a lot of people in cinephile circles, that's the only true debate. to be had. So to have them come together and do something like this, and you add talent, Rob, like an Oscar Isaac, like a Jake Gyllenhaal, telling the story. And by the way, Francis Ford Coppola already came out and said, nope, this is going to be great. You got Barry Levinson directing it and all this kind of stuff. And you're going to have Jake Gyllenhaal playing the studio exec, former actor becoming studio exec at a time when the studio was in a precarious position. Did they want to spend the money on this sort of thing? On and on and on. It's now maybe not quite as fascinating, Rob, as say the making of Apocalypse Now from the outside, but I am dying to hear this story and to know that you're going to have performers like Oscar Isaac playing Francis Ford Coppola, like Jake Gyllenhaal in this. I mean, what's there not to be excited about? Anyway, Rob, you hear about this. Is this a good project? And Rob, legitimate question. There's a lot of people today who've never watched the Godfather movies. And it's surprising when the pandemic kicked in, a lot of people saying, oh, I just watched Godfather for the first time. A lot of people have still not watched it. Do you think this is a movie that's going to get people's attention, and are you excited about it?
Well, one, The Godfather is one of my, if not my favorite movie of all time, one of them. And, you know, Coppola always said, a lot of people who've never seen The Godfather think it might be, oh, it's a movie about the mafia. But in Coppola's mind, he was making a grand story, as he said, about a king and his three sons. And now it could be set in medieval times, but it happens to be set in the late 40s mafia milieu of New York City. And I find the movie endlessly fascinating. But the story behind it, John, and somebody like Robert Evans is one of the most colorful figures in Hollywood history as far as a producer goes. He was running Paramount. If you're a movie fan, you owe it to yourself to listen to his audiobook, because he reads it himself, of The Kid Stays in the Picture, where he talks a lot about the production in his own voice of Godfather. And what a character that guy is. And Jake Gyllenhaal doesn't really look like Robert Evans, but I'm really excited to see what he's going to do with. I'm really excited for this, John. I think it's going to be wildly entertaining. I love Barry Levinson as a filmmaker. I have for decades. And what a cast they're assembling. I mean, who's going to play James Caan? Who's going to play Al Pacino? Who's going to play Marlon Brando? I mean, it's going to be crazy. And it's like a mini series, right? Isn't it like a 10-part limited series or something?
Oh, I have no idea. My assumption was just it was going to be a movie, but it's
okay. Well, either way, John, this is, we are getting some great entertainment. There's the new Stephen King adaptation of The Stand coming out. We're getting this. Barry Levinson's new movie. Robert Zemeckis' new movie. The Witch is dropping on HBO Max. We're living. It might be a pandemic, and we might not be able to go to the movie theaters. But man, there's some great stuff coming down our way through streaming services, and I'm excited.
At least in the works. Now, Rob, one of the names that, of course, along with Oscar Isaac, Jake Gyllenhaal, that's part of this big story, of course, is Barry Levinson. Now, you probably know that name. Barry, I think it's fair to say, hasn't made anything of note maybe in a good 20 years. I mean, the last film that Barry Levinson made, unless I'm forgetting about one or two, that I really, really loved was a movie he did with Robert De Niro called Wag the Dog, which is a political film. But if you haven't seen Wag the Dog, it's one of the best political films of all time. It's fabulous. He also did movies like Diner, Tin Men, Rain Man, Bugsy, Toys with Robin Williams, and Good Morning Vietnam. So he made several films with Robin Williams. So he may have not made anything in a while, but he's got some great ones. Rob, when you think about the filmography of Barry Levinson, what stands out to you the most? What are your maybe one or two of your favorites?
I'm a huge fan, but lately, over the last... He made a movie called What Just Happened with Robert De Niro. And Robert De Niro plays a movie producer.
That's right. I remember that.
It is one of the most realistic.
Sean Penn's in that.
Sean Penn's in that. Bruce Willis is in that. Dude, it is so well, now that you're a big-time movie producer, John, if you watch this movie, you're going to see how painful producing movies can be. And actually, you're also you've now directed a feature-length documentary. You might be in the running for the Academy Awards, dude. But what just happened is I watch it and I love the movie. He also made a crazy, like a found footage horror movie called, I think it's called The Bay. It's an eco horror film. I think it's called The Bay, that I really liked. And I was surprised he made it. So I'm a big fan of Barry Levinson's. I love Diner. I love I love Rain Man, of course. And I loved Wag the Dog, too.
Yeah, Wag the Dog is great. So question is for you guys. What do you think about this news? I think it's, look, I love great because so many of us are movie fans. I get a big kick, whether, you know, it's Wag the Dog or whatever. I just love when you get other stories, though, about the making of some of these great classics and you add talent like this. I think it sounds incredible. Guys, what do you think about it? Are you excited for it? Maybe you're one of these people, one of many people, as a matter of fact, who's never had a chance to see The Godfather. Maybe that keeps you from feeling all that excited about it. What do you think? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 3, shall we? And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by Paul Harris. And Paul Harris writes, "Hello, John. First of all, deepest condolences on the passing of your grandfather. Thank you so much, Paul. For many of you who don't know, my grandfather, my nonno, Giovanni, who I'm named after, passed away yesterday at the age of 93. And so thank you for everybody who sent in all those well wishes. I appreciate that.
I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't know that, John.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Did you see they released the official Billie Eilish music video for James Bond No Time to Die? Should this be considered an indication that the studio plans to move forward with the November release date? Thank you. All right. Thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, listen, obviously, there are certain Hallmark films that we're all kind of hoping, maybe beyond hope, get to hold on to their release dates. Dune is clearly one of those. Another one, obviously, for a long time has been No Time to Die. Well, now they released the song. You know, they released the song that Billie Eilish did for No Time to Die months and months and months ago. And then it became clear that the movie was getting delayed. We never got an official music video. They never put one out. Well, yesterday, they actually dropped the official music video that Billie Eilish did for the song. Now, Rob, I don't know if you'll remember, but I didn't love the song when I heard the song the first time. I didn't dislike it all that much, but I didn't love the song. At least as much as I can recall. I don't think I recall loving it. I gotta tell you though, like some songs, when seen in the context of a video, I gotta tell you, Rob, it actually suddenly, it really felt like a Bond song to me. It really did. And I'm watching this and I'm seeing some new cuts or thing, and it did what an official music video from a movie should do. You should enjoy the song and the video, yes, but it should also get you more excited for the movie. And I'll tell you what, Rob, it did that for me. I found myself getting even more excited for this next Bond film watching this. They raise a great question, though. They delayed releasing this music video before because they knew why put out this marketing right now? Why put out this thing that's going to get us this big pop for James Bond when we know we're about to move it? So they delayed putting it out. But they chose to put it out now. Now, Rob, I've seen some things happen before with movies like, oh, they just released a new trailer. They're probably planning on keeping the release date. That was true with Tenet, not true with Black Widow. So I hesitate to say them releasing a new piece of marketing automatically means, yep, take it to the bank. They're planning on releasing it. But I will say this. I think if the Bond producers, if the Bond distribution strategy right now already knew that they were going to be moving Bond, it would be a questionable decision to put this music video out right now. Like if they knew already that they were going to move that film, I don't believe they put this music video out. I'm not saying they're not going to still move the movie. I'm not saying they're not going to move the movie, but it at least suggests to me that they are still contemplating just releasing it when they're planning on releasing it. Otherwise, I just don't see what would the strategy be? What's the philosophy behind releasing this music video now if you may just be bumping, or if you're already planning on bumping the movie by another 6 months? So don't take it to the bank, but I suspect this means it's still possible we're going to get James Bond on time. I don't know. Rob, number one, what did you think about the video? And then number two, what, if any, significance do you see to them releasing this video right now?
Well, one, I felt like I wasn't blown away by the song. I mean, like, I'm a Billie Eilish fan. Like, I love the single Bad Girl. I think that's the kind of great pop single that endures through the years. But for this song, you know, Sam Smith's song was very morose and slow. And this kind of song, I felt the same way when I first heard it. But like you, when I saw that the video dropped yesterday, I'm like, oh. And I felt better about the song, seeing it, you know, coupled with Bond imagery. I'm like, all right, I'll buy into this. And I think once I've seen the movie and understand it in context, it might even get better. But I do think I was surprised because when No Time to Die was going to come out, they had like a GQ story on Daniel Craig ready to go. There was all of this marketing that they couldn't prevent. It was long lead time marketing, and it was all coming out, and then they pulled the movie. So I think this was a shrewd way. I think this is definitely the beginning of remarketing this movie again to the public. This is a big, bold move, dropping this. And I think for the time being, they're planning on putting this movie out in November.
Wow.
I really do.
I was not expecting to hear you say that because I think it's fair to say you have lately taken a little bit more of a pessimistic point of view. I think that's fair to say about whether or not these films are coming out, but you are actually also agreeing with me. You think this could indicate they may still be aiming for that November date.
I absolutely think so, because they wouldn't have dropped it otherwise. I mean, this is a huge remarketing of the movie. You know, Billie Eilish, her following amongst those kids today, John. Billie Eilish is one of the biggest pop stars in the world. And to release this, again, you know, she even performed this song live on the British Music Awards. I forget the actual name. I mean, This was a huge thing when it came out. And now by dropping this video, they're remarketing the movie again. And I think this is the first salvo in leading up to the release of the film. I would be very surprised if they push it now. But then again, it's 2020. And if aliens landed on my front doorstep and asked me to go with them, I wouldn't be surprised. So
yeah, I mean, we are living in a time where literally the landscape changes day to day. I mean, so who knows? Yeah. But I'm in agreement with you. I think for at least right now, it at the very minimum means they haven't yet made the decision to move it. I think at the very minimum, it means that, which, you know, gets me a little bit excited because listen, I'll tell you what, it could be a bit of a domino effect. If they can get Bond into theaters, I'll say this. If they can get Bond into theaters and they have not moved it up until that point, I think it locks in Dune for December. Like if they haven't moved Dune by the time Bond comes out and Bond keeps that release date and they get Bond into theaters, I think that locks it. I think they're going to keep Dune in there as well, and they'll try to capitalize on Bond being back in being in the theaters to kind of hopefully kickstart some of that momentum that Tenet had at first and then kind of lost. So I have a lot of hopes for this. Question is for you guys. What do you think? Number one, what did you think about the song? I gotta tell you, putting it in the context of the video, I liked it even more. But what do you think this is an indicator of, if any at all, about whether or not we are actually going to see Bond in November? Could be a good sign, maybe not. What do you guys think? Jump into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to main topic number 4. And our fourth main topic today gets submitted to us by Jamie Faustin. And Jamie Faustin writes, I personally think the first Borat movie should be required viewing for everyone. I love that movie. And I love that another one is here. The new trailer just killed me completely. This could be even better than the first one, so I wanted to ask if you and Rob had seen it, and if so, how great did you think it was? All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. Dude. And yes, for those of you who may not have seen yet, the brand new trailer for Borat 2, the full trailer, which is not, by the way, called Pornographic Monkey for whatever. That was a fake name. It's like Borat's subsequent movie film is what it's called, with some more words added onto that at the end as well. They have just dropped the first full trailer for it. That came out yesterday. And I'm going to tell you, while this cover picture they put out for it, of Borat, you don't see the titling on the image, but the titling that's off to the side says make sure to wear a mask. And obviously we see Borat wearing a mask only the way Borat would. The trailer came out for yesterday. You guys know how much I love the first Borat movie. I love it. I didn't love this trailer, Rob.
Really?
I didn't love this trailer. And I'll tell you now they certainly had its moments, like him being in the cottage going, I am killing the virus. No, if you see a virus, spray it with this. Yeah, so it puts the virus to sleep and then you kill it. Like, that was funny. There's certainly moments. Did you put baby in your daughter? No, I mean, there's some moments. I gotta tell you though, the addition of the daughter kind of kills it for me, at least in the trailer. You know what I'm saying? Like, I felt like with it just being Borat running around. And yes, in the first one, you had Azamat, played by Ken Davidian, but he was always kind of alone in a room. So the only times Azamat was in the scene when it was just Borat and Azamat, that was fine. But out in public, it was always just Borat. And when you add a second character to that, suddenly it feels, at least in just the trailer, suddenly it felt more like a production. I don't know how to quantify it, to be honest with you. It had its moments. It did not stop me from wanting to see this, because I am very excited to see this, because I love the first one so much. But I would be lying to you, Rob, if I said I absolutely love this trailer. I didn't. It has its moments, certainly some very funny moments, but it's just the addition of the daughter that kills part of the identity of the movie for me. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Rob, you had a chance to check this out. What did you think about the new trailer?
Well, I think that's actually a valid criticism that you've made. I mean, I didn't think of that, but since you brought it up, I don't think you're necessarily wrong about that it feels more like a production, like a movie, as opposed to what we got the first time. But Dude, I thought the trailer was hilarious. I mean, I first of all, again, like you finishing your documentary during quarantine, being sheltered at home, and you made a feature film. I guess apparently so did Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yep.
I love that they just went out. I mean, I think when the history of this time is written, there has been a lot of amazing creativity that's happened, and this movie looks like certainly that. And I think we've only seen the tip of the iceberg. I think this movie's going to be pretty crazy, and I'm looking forward to it. I like the trailer a lot.
Coming from Sacha Baron Cohen, I have no doubt that we're in for something very, very bonkers. So hopefully you're right, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. I didn't love the trailer, but I am looking forward to the movie. Question is for you guys. Did you have a chance to see the trailer? What did you think? Maybe you weren't even a fan of the first one, and therefore you're just not a fan of this one, but what were your overall thoughts? Jump down into the comment section below and let me know your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move into our fifth and final main topic today. And our fifth and final main topic today gets submitted to us by Patrick Williams. And Patrick Williams writes, I'm seeing various reports that Jamie Foxx is reprising his role as Electro in Tom Holland's Spider-Man 3. Now, could this simply mean Marvel really liked his version of Electro and they want him back? Or could it be we're taking our first steps into the live-action Spider-Verse? Either way, I find Electro a very odd choice for a character to bring back, especially after the not-so-great response to The Amazing Spider-Man 2. What are your thoughts on this? Keep up the great work and bring on the filthy. All right, thanks a lot for sending that in, man. And yeah, under the category of what the holy hell, file this one. And this isn't coming because when I first saw people writing in, Rob, and saying, Jamie Foxx is coming back as Electro, I thought, okay, yeah, let me go over to We Got This Covered, because that's probably where this came from.
That's the first thing I thought, too.
Is it? I mean, right? I mean, that's clearly the first thing you're going to think, is that this comes from us, from We Got This Covered. That's where this is going to come from. So I go over and check out We Got This Covered, and lo and behold, oh, it didn't come from there. And you start looking around, and you're like, holy crap, this is actually coming from The Hollywood Reporter. The Hollywood Reporter is writing this. Anyway, let's get to the story here. So here's what the folks over at The Hollywood Reporter had to say about this. They said the following: story details are being kept under the mask, but having Foxx return is a stunner, as it shows a further melding of the previous Spider-Man movies into the current Holland series, which is the first one that has Marvel running point on production. Far From Home began that idea by bringing back J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson, which got everybody excited, the character he played in the Tobey Maguire starring Spider-Man trilogy, a move that tickled audiences with glee. Indeed it did. And yes, going back into the main part here, the Hollywood Reporter is saying Jamie Foxx is in the final stages of sealing up his contract to reprise, and they're saying it's reprising as Electro. Rob, I never said because I don't believe I was ever asked. I've never said before that there is no way that we would see Jamie Foxx come back as Electro. But I will tell you, had I been asked, John, do you think we'll ever see Jamie Foxx back as Electro? Oh, hell no. I mean, I didn't say that, but if I was put in the position, I totally would have. I totally would have said there is no way in hell will we ever get Jamie Foxx back as Electro. Now, listen, let me make it very clear. I think Jamie Foxx is a tremendous actor. I think he is a tremendous actor. And whether it's, I mean, it doesn't matter what you put him in. I don't care if it's a Horrible Bosses. I don't care if it's a Baby Driver. I don't care if it's an Array or something bigger like that. I love Jamie Foxx. I just think the dude is super talented. I just love watching him. But he might be the first person to tell you that his interpretation of Electro in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 may not have been the best. Might not have been the best thing for him. Might not have been his best work. Might not have been his best day at the office. And so on top of all of that, you have the fact that now I don't mind The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but I did think it was a big step down from that. They killed it off. I have been asked, Rob, if I ever think that we were going to see Andrew Garfield pop up or see Tobey Maguire pop up. And I said, because I wasn't asked about Jamie Foxx, but I was asked about that. And what I've said before is, no, I really doubt that. That just gets a little bit gimmicky. That, like, to bring in Andrew Garfield now, which are totally different iterations, I just think that gets into the gimmicky. Not to mention Tobey Maguire is now what? He's in his mid-40s, approaching 50 at any rate.
Yeah, something like that.
But so I've said before, no, that's not going to happen. Well, guess what? While this report doesn't say anything about Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield, guess what? If you bring back Jamie Foxx as Electro, all bets are off. All bets are off. I still don't expect to see Andrew Garfield pop up. I still don't expect to see Tobey Maguire. But that whole thing of, I just can't imagine that happening. Oh, that's gone. That's gone. I don't know what on earth they're going for. Now, Rob, I suppose there are a couple of options here on the table. Like, one option is, hey, it's just a totally new Electro, and it just happens to also being played by Jamie Foxx. That would be a strange choice, but I suppose it is an option that's on the table. Maybe that's the case. Unlikely, but maybe that's the case. Also, the Hollywood Reporter was not 100% sure. They did not say definitively and beyond question that Jamie Foxx is definitely playing Electro. They did not say that. They simply said that our sources tell us it'll be Electro. And maybe it's not. Maybe Jamie Foxx is just appearing in the new Spider-Man movie as somebody else. And there are some people just kind of making the assumption that it's going to be Electro. That's a possibility, but it is the Hollywood Reporter. The other most outrageous, crazy, I can't believe this is happening option is that, oh no, he's Electro, the one we know from The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and he's back. That is strange. And besides being strange, Rob, when you push back all the noise of how weird this is, it doesn't look like a good decision. Because it's not only is it a carryover from a not beloved movie, it's also a carryover character that was pretty much universally disliked. Like, even people like me who didn't hate The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I thought that character was terrible. I thought it was terrible. And so even if you wanted to dip into that whole thing, why not get Melina to come back as Doc Ock? Why not go to some other direction if you want? So that seems strange. But Rob, there is so much WTF in the air about this. Like, this is bonkers. Like this is, I never said he'd never come back as Thing, but I would have said he was, if I was asked, I definitely would have said he was never going to be back as Electro. No way. And I defy you to find anybody who really thought he would. I don't think you're going to find, there probably got to be a lot of Monday morning quarterbacks say, oh yeah, I always thought he'd come back. Liars. No one thought he was going to come back as Electro. This is kind of crazy. So Rob, there's a million angles to this, but when you look at this, Rob, what is the first thing that stands out to you when you see this report coming out? Remember, this is not from Eddie's Fast Movie blog from the gas station.fart. This is the Hollywood Reporter that's put this out. Rob, what's your take on it?
I have a theory.
Hit me.
I have a theory about this, John. I think the Marvel movies, the MCU, is going to do something they haven't done before that harks back to the comic book legacy of, well, all comics, but especially Marvel comics. I think they're going to do a multi-film crossover. And it's going to have something to do with whatever the multiverse of madness is. We know that they've recently said it again in another report, that WandaVision somehow plays into the multiverse of madness and Doctor Strange.
Right.
I think that they're building up a multi-film, not Infinity War, where they're bringing, all the Avengers, but they're going to have something to do with the multiverse, probably because of the quantum realm or something to do with Doctor Strange, something. And this storyline is going to carry over to multiple movies. It's going to start in WandaVision. It's going to lead into Doctor Strange. And I think it's going to bleed over maybe into Thor: Love and Thunder, maybe into the third Spider-Man movie, maybe even beyond that. But I do think the idea of some kind of whatever's going on, whatever madness is happening in the multiverse, it's going to spill over into other Marvel movies. And it's going to be like a crossover event, like in the comics, like a summertime. In all of our annuals, we're going to have the Evolutionary War, or something like that. And I think that's what they're doing.
Isn't there a cautionary tale here about, like, I remember even Schnepp used to hate this. Like, I remember it would drive me nuts back when I was like literally collecting the physical comic books every week, and I had the titles. It used to drive me nuts that a comic that I would read started a storyline, and then at the end it says, continues in Mr. Mukubuku, issue number 45. It's like, wait a minute, I don't buy Mr. Mukubuku. Why? Wait, so I got to go buy a comic I don't read to do it. Isn't there a little bit of a cautionary tale for that? But oh man, I don't know. I mean, you could be right. What do you think?
Well, first of all, look, when I didn't read Mr. Mukubuku either. So I didn't like when I had to go buy that comic. But I mean, for the 30 years that I was buying comics every week, those crossover events, I mean, my shelves are full of them. And I think in a way, if clearly audiences who like the MCU see all of the movies, and if they're doing something that involves a multiverse, I think it's kind of cool that they are doing this, because it's not like I'm not going to go see the next Spider-Man movie. Of course I am. And I'm going to buy well, maybe I'm not going to buy the Blu-ray because physical media will be dead, but I want to. And I think it's kind of cool if they announce as they lead up to this, it's going to be a secret. They hold their cards pretty close to the vest, but if they're going to do this, I think it's pretty cool because no one's done it before. Now, that's why, because Electro, I didn't like the portrayal of Electro, not because of Jamie Foxx. I love Jamie Foxx, but the way he was written, it was so goofy. I think it didn't have verisimilitude compared to, say, the Lizard in Amazing Spider-Man, which I really liked.
Me too.
I just didn't like it. It seemed like Jamie Foxx's character was coming from a new movie, a different movie. They were like, the tone of his character was all over the place. It was more like Jim Carrey's Riddler in Batman Forever. And I didn't think it really worked with Spider-Man. But I think if they're bringing Jamie Foxx back, they know this. And I think they have plans for him. I don't know if it has something to do with the Sinister Six. I don't know, but it's crazy, John. It's crazy.
Well, that, of course, brings up the question that's going to be on everybody's mind. Is Paul Giamatti coming back as Rhino? That's all anybody wants. But really, Rob, let me bring back to the question that has been raised before this Jamie Foxx news came out. We've seen this question come up on this show several times before. Do you think, because we've had a lot of, Rob, we've lost count of how many people have written and said, do you think Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield can come back? Come on. No. Jamie Foxx is coming back as Electro. What? Rob, let me get you to give me a percentage chance here. Give me a percentage chance. Actually, I'll set an over-under for you. 18%. 18.5% is the line. 18.5%. Higher chance that we see either Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire now pop up, or lower than 18.5%. You're going to go over or under 18.5% that we could see either Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire now pop up. What do you think? Now, in light of this Jamie Foxx news.
I'm going over. I'm going over because Sony, look, they've already made Into the Spider-Verse. Marvel's making Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I think we've seen the Quantum Realm now with different versions of the Ancient One. I think it's over. Because you know why? In this day and age, it's just cool. It's just a fun thing to do, and it's in the air, man. Ben Affleck is coming back as Batman. I think this is 2021 and 2022 is going to be the era of the multiverse across these big franchises, and I'm going to love every minute of it.
Okay, so look, you have to be a special kind of dumb to think Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire are coming back to Spider-Man. Is exactly what I would have said a month ago.
Yep.
I'm in the dumb club. I mean, look, I agree. I'm going to go over 18.5% too. And I can't believe if John Campea of June could see John Campea of October 2nd right now, he'd be spitting fits. But I'm telling you now, it's over 18.5%. I'm not going to say it's over 50. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not going to say it's likely that's going to happen. But I would have said, no way. We get either Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire back. Not a chance, way under 80. But today, I mean, like you said, it's not just the Jamie Foxx thing. You've also got, even though it's a completely different studio, you raise a great point, Rob. You also have to look at this a little bit through the lens of that we are now in a world where in DC, Ben Affleck is coming back. Something that we really would have thought. So you combine that with the fact that Jamie Foxx is Electro. And again, there is a possibility here it may not be for Electro. It might just be Jamie Foxx joining another Spider-Man movie, maybe as another character. We have to keep that with a little bit of a grain of salt. But accepting that it is for now, I don't know how you don't say that, yep, there's over at least, it's a small 18.5% chance. I don't know how you say it's under at this point.
I mean, they're giving Zack Snyder $70 million now to do reshoots, additional photography, pickups, whatever you want to call it, for a 4-hour Snyder Justice League. Now, you know, you and I both never thought that was going to happen because there was nobody around to pay for it. But when HBO Max, I even said on my show last November that now that HBO Max is in the mix, there's a place where a Snyder Cut could actually get paid for. And I never believed it was going to happen, really. I don't think you did either. But with an entity that could pay for it, then suddenly it was on the table. Now they're not only paying for it, they're paying for more photography. I mean, we live in this world now. Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton are playing Batman again. We already had Crisis on Infinite Earths on the CW, where the Flash shows up. I mean, it's crazy.
Dude, where
John.
Lucifer showed up. Lucifer showed up.
All bets are off, man.
See, that's the thing. What is happening now? It seems is, look, there's always been things that even when seeming impossible, we say, hey, look, it's very unlikely, but things are possible. What we're seeing happening right now is the definition of what is possible is widening. It still doesn't necessarily make it likely, but the idea of what is possible becomes a wider, broader scope now of, I mean, I just shudder to think about what other things do maybe all of us thought, well, that'll never happen. That just might be on the books now. You know, this is nuts.
William Shatner coming back as Kirk.
You know, he'd do it.
Kirk that didn't die on Viridian 3 in Generations. He grew grew into an old age.
This is so significant. I decided to make this the topic of today's question of the day. And I simply asked you guys this question. I asked, regarding the Hollywood Reporter story, do you actually believe that Jamie Foxx is returning as Electro in the next Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland? I gave you guys 3 options. Again, I put this up just about 20 minutes before the show started. A little over 3,300 of you guys have responded already. 55% of you are saying, yep, Jamie Foxx is back and he's Electro. 26% of you just don't believe the story at all, saying, no, Jamie Foxx is not going to be in this movie. 19% of you, though, I gave a third option that Foxx will be back, but he won't be playing Electro like it's a different character. 19% of you guys are saying that. So that's where that's at right now. By the way, this poll is up in the community tab of the YouTube channel, so you can go and find it there. So go on over there and cast your vote as well. But in the meantime, guys, just jump down into the comment section. This is seriously, I know the Ben Affleck coming back as Batman is more important, but I literally don't know, Rob. I honestly don't know right now which is the more surprising story, that Ben Affleck was back or that Jamie Foxx is coming back as Electro. One was beloved, one was universally disliked, and here we are. So, but question is, guys, what do you think? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Okay, guys. With all that down and out of the way, we're now going to go on and start taking your guys' live questions that you guys have been firing in. Once again, you can just use the tip link that's in the top of the description of this video. Just click on it there, or you can enter it manually simply at streamelements.com/movieblogtv/tip. All right, guys, let's get into it here. We're going to get things started off here with Sam Phillip. And Sam Phillip writes, hey, John, have you ever played any of the Fallout games? Just curious. Also, hashtag Team Kong. There you go. Honestly, I bought Fallout 4, but then I never played it. I still got it on my machine. I just never played it. I have played the mobile game, you know, the one where you're in the underground, you're building the chambers. I've played that game, but not. I remember Dennis Zen, Rob. I mean, he plays like all the Fallout games. And he was like always talking about them. So I've never, but I do have it. And at some point I will get around to playing it. All right. Dwayne Jackson writes, hey, John and friends, with movie theaters facing possible extinction and movies changing dates, with the landscape changing, the industry possibly for years to come, is it worth making big movies anymore? All right. Thanks for sending that in, Dwayne. And you know what? Somebody, one of our Patreon supporters sent in a very similar question to that on our podcast yesterday. Here's my thoughts on this. Rob, you've heard that I've been getting a little bit more and more pessimistic when it comes about the future of the theaters, because my thought was always, if they can get the theaters open and get Tenet in there, then that will start the momentum and they'll be fine. The theaters will be fine. But what happened? They got the theaters open, some of them at any rate. Tenet did come out. I still maintain that it just hit the $300 million mark. I still maintain hitting the $300 million mark when you're the only film out there and we're in the age of the pandemic ain't too bad. But listen, you got to call what it is. Under normal circumstances, it's an utter disaster. But what happened? Instead of creating that positive momentum, we've seen movies like Wonder Woman 84, Black Widow. We've been seeing and hearing about all these movies moving. My doubt comes that the theatrical industry can survive. Now, if it does survive, then I go right back to believing that it will ultimately be fine. It will be completely fine if it survives. You know, what's that line they say in The Empire Strikes Back? What is the medical droid saying? Or no, or it's Art 3PO says, oh, he should be perfectly well kept if he survived the freezing process.
That is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so if they die, but there's a lot of things that could save it. Rob, my thought on that is this. If you're a studio, you have got to continue on with business as usual. Especially when it comes to production, you've got to continue on, because what's your option? If you don't continue making these movies and the theaters survive, you're caught with your pants around your ankles because you got no product to put out. And you got no product to put out, you make no money. So you go on the assumption that the theaters will be there and they'll survive. And so you move on with business as usual. And by the way, if the theaters aren't there, there are not as good options, but there are other options available to you and your projects. So I think that's the main reason why they move forward. Rob, so I think it's a wise thing that the studios continue to produce. How do you see it?
I do. Look, I do too. It's like business is business. You know, you've got these. You can't not. Industries don't just shut down. You know, you have to keep making things. It's their product. That's what they're making. And by the way, we as consumers, we demand it. Like, we want a constant influx of new material and movies and television and entertainment. I mean, and look at how many people are employed. It needs, as they say, the show must go on.
The show indeed must go on. All right, let's keep that going then. Willow writes, I know The Boys isn't a movie. By the way, did you see the newest episode of The Boys that dropped last night?
John, before I was watching it this morning, and then our internet went out while I was watching it. And so I saw it up to the point where Stormfront and Homelander
don't give too much away.
Went to somebody's house to see somebody.
Right. Okay. That's where you got. So you didn't see the end of the episode?
No, dude. And I'm like, what the hell, man? I was gonna, I was watching it. Actually, I wouldn't have been able to see the end anyway because I was coming on the show today, and I was, but I couldn't believe it. Again, the opening of today's episode. Oh my God.
By the way,
Yeesh.
For those of you who might be joining us late, if you think Rob looks and sounds a little bit different, it's because the internet at his house is out, and he is literally coming to us from his iPhone. He's literally got his iPhone. He's streaming from his iPhone right now. Okay, so yeah, The Boys. Anyway, yeah, that episode was great. Let's keep moving here. The Boys isn't a movie.
Is the end really great though?
What's that? Oh my God. It's oh my God, the ending of, just wait till you see. All right. I know The Boys isn't a movie, but do you like the relationship between Huey and Starlight? I thought it was one of the better comic book romances that doesn't make me groan whenever the two of them are together. Rob, I am notoriously a hater of comic book romances, at least comic book movie romances. There's only ever really been two that I don't mind in the films. One is Tony and Pepper. I've always really liked the Tony Pepper relationship. And speaking of the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. That relationship in those Amazing Spider-Man movies, I always thought were a strength. For the most part, I don't like. There are, I'm sure, some other exceptions, but for the most part, I don't like them. I will tell you what, I love, from season one, the relationship between Huey and Starlight. To me, I love. And Rob, I don't know if you got to the point where Huey and Starlight, at that point in the episode where Huey and Starlight come face to face. Did you get to that point in this episode? You would know. You would know instantly. There's a moment, again, I won't tell you the context at all, but Huey and Starlight come face to face. And it is one of the sweetest, despite all the bonkersness that's going on around them, it is one of the sweetest moments. It's crazy. So I am completely with you, Willow. I really do like that relationship a lot. And I love the fact that they have not let Huey, every once in a while, Huey goes back to struggling with the fact that it really wasn't all that long ago that he lost his girlfriend when A-Train accidentally killed her. And he still goes back to that every once in a while. And I'm glad that they do that because it makes it feel a little bit more real. So I love the relationship, Willow. And yeah, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. If you have not seen last night's episode, the brand new episode of The Boys, you absolutely have to get on board with that. All right. So, Rob, as soon as this, load it up on your iPhone if you have to, Rob. Load it up on your iPhone.
The internet has come back.
The internet's now back. Okay, good. There you go. All right. James Germain writes, hey, John, this question for Aaron, who is not here right now, if she's there, as being a cancer survivor, would you find it empowering if the Thor sequel followed more closely with the comics when it comes to female Thor, Jane, or would you just find it as a plot device to further more of the story? Well, I can tell you right now that Aaron wouldn't have been able to answer that question because Aaron hasn't read that Thor storyline. I can tell you that with fair certainty. She has never seen that. Listen, it comes down to the same thing that I always say. The comic books are the comic books, the movie's the movie. The job of the filmmaker is not to make the most comic accurate movie. The job of the filmmaker is to make the best movie possible. And if there are elements you can take from the comic book to make that happen, then you do it. So it'll be interesting to see how much they go into that. Rob, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to suspect they're not going to go heavy into like the cancer aspect. I don't think they're going to go heavy into it. I think it might be an element to it, but I don't know that they're going to make it a focus. I don't know. What do you think they might do in this Thor: Love and Thunder?
I honestly, I don't know, to tell you the truth. I think you're right with the cancer issue, because, they're still making entertainment. It's like they're not the first Captain Marvel, the death of Captain Marvel, he died of cancer, and that was pretty shocking, actually. But I don't think they're going to do that I think this movie's going to be a lot more fun. I think Love and Thunder is going to be a hoot and a half. And I don't think they're going to bring it down with being a downer. Yeah,
I agree with you on that. All right, let's move on.
Can you imagine? I don't think I've anticipated, other than Infinity War and Endgame, I can't wait to see Love and Thunder, because the filmmaker that Taika Waititi is becoming with, his
Rabbit
Oscar nomination, and then what they're doing with What We Do in the Shadows, which he created. I mean, we're going to get something I think is going to be a hoot and a half. I can't wait.
I completely agree. All right. Next up comes to us from Hey John, love the show. Right. I love that username. Right. I had a friend ask me this once, and I don't know how I'd answer. Would you date somebody if they didn't really care for movies? For me, it's such a big part of my life that it'd be weird not to share that experience with a significant other. Look, I understand this will sound a little bit shallow, but no. I couldn't, because just too much of my life, because it's not just my personal life that I'm a movie lover, that I could handle. But my professional life is all surrounding movies and stuff like that. And I just don't know that I could have been partnered with somebody who didn't, at least to some degree, share that with me. And Rob, I've told this story before. It's a true story. Ann and I had been dating for a couple of months, and to the point that I knew it wasn't just going to be a quick fling, right? Once I got to the point that I realized, this relationship means more to me, it's not just going to be a quick fling, Ann and I had to have what I call the talk. Ann had never seen a Star Wars movie at that point. And so we were sitting around, I remember, because we were sitting around and like something Star Wars came up, and she said, "Oh yeah, I've never seen any of them." And I'm like, time out. We have to arrange for you to watch these at some point. And I don't mean to put any pressure on, but the very future of our relationship depends on this, sort of thing. So I look, if I was just a movie fan and it was the right relationship, I could handle it. But Rob, because people like you and me, it's not just that we love movies so much, it's also part of our professional lives. And if I don't know that I could have a partner that can at least share a little bit of that in my personal life and my professional life. So I don't think I could date somebody who was actively not a movie fan. I don't know. What about you?
I'll tell you something. I used to date this girl a long time ago, and I love not just movies, but music and everything. And she had a wicker basket that she threw all of her audio cassette tapes in. They were just like in a basket. It used to drive me bonkers, because I would have my tapes all lined up in alphabetical order. And I'm like, it was so weird to me that these, like, how do you get a tape out that you want to listen to? If I met somebody, they would have to be damn special for me to fall in love with them if they didn't love movies, because so much of and it's not just movies, it's storytelling in general.
Right.
And if they didn't like that form of entertainment, if they didn't enjoy storytelling, it probably means they don't like television, or they don't like, I don't know if I could hang with that, because I spend so much time thinking about stories and thinking about movies and what they all mean and making movies. It's my profession. It's your profession too now, by the way. And I just don't think I could hang with that.
It would be tough. It would be tough. All right, let's move on here. Next question comes to us from Skywalker, who writes, what do you think of the Ms. Marvel casting and the writers from Bad Boys 3 at the helm? Also, who would you like to see return to the from the MC Fake Death universe? I would love to see Ultron and Claw again, or Crossbones or Baron Strucker. Gone too soon. They were kind of like Ultron was a robot. The other ones are just kind of like side characters. I'll tell you what, though, the one for me is I'd love to see Claw back. I really would. I just think what Andy Serkis brought to that character, I loved, to the point that when he dies, spoiler alert, when he dies in Black Panther, I think you physically could see the disappointment on me, because I thought he was truly a really top-notch villain. And so I think if I had to, and these are just minor characters really in the grand scheme of things, but if I had to pick one and Kevin Feige called me and said, hey, John, which one of these you want me to bring back? I'm going to bring back one. I would go Claw. What about you, Rob?
You know what? Either that or Baron was Zemo.
Strucker?
It's not Baron Zemo.
Oh, Zemo? Well, they're Strucker. No. Zemo's still around.
Yeah. No. Well, yeah, that's right. He's not dead. I think Claw. I mean, I really like Claw a lot, but I also would love Red Skull to come back. You know?
Well, technically, he's still around.
I know, but I mean, isn't he like a dead spirit protecting the whatever happened to him?
I don't think he's dead.
Come back and walk around the Earth. Like, give him a break. There's no more Infinity Stones. Let him come back. Come on.
All right, let's move on here. Next up comes to us from Ryan Lohner, who writes one of two. One big pet peeve of mine is when a movie's title is shoehorned into the dialogue, usually in a tone of, you should be so bloody impressed by this. And as much as I love them, some of the worst cases of it are in the Lord of the Rings films. I also have a big soft spot for the scene in Silence of the Lambs where they manage to make perfectly clear what the title means, but no one ever actually says something like, and now you want the silence of the lambs. More like that, please. Well, here's the funny thing about that, Ryan. And by the way, I noticed that stuff too. Here's the funny thing, though. More times than not, that was probably written into the script and into the dialogue before they finalized a title. I mean, so I think you'll find what happens more times than not is they just pull the title from the script, and then maybe it might look like they've shoehorned the title of the movie into the script, when really, I think more times than not, it's probably the other way around, that it actually happens. I don't know, Rob, what would you say to Ryan, that little pet peeve of his, when it becomes obvious they just shoehorn the title of the movie into the dialogue and script itself?
Well, it depends how clever they do it. Like, I remember in The Living Daylights when Bond says, I must have scared the living daylights out of her. I'm like, come on, man. You know, I don't like that. But if they do it in a clever way, and right now, a movie that did it in a clever way sort of eludes me. But I'll
tell you one that did stick out to me as kind of being was like Will Smith. So what are we? Some kind of Suicide Squad? I mean, That's probably an example of what Ryan's talking about, but I think for the most part, it works the other way around.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of when they do it, unless it's done really, really well.
Right. All right. Let's move on here. Next up. Oh, sorry. We had a bit of a jump in the thing here. Let me scroll back. How far back do we have to go? It looks like we're going back quite a bit. Okay, there was Ryan Lohner. All right, now let's move up to Art Teacher Movie Fan writes. Hello, John, Rob, and Aaron. Keep up the great content. It has helped me to get through this tough year. My question for you is, do you think that Marvel will have a movie with the Young Avengers, including Miss Marvel? Congrats on your documentary. My guess on that, a lot of people, and thank you for the congrats on the documentary. I appreciate that. Let's say this. Ever could totally happen sometime. Do I think it is part of Kevin Feige's plans right now? I don't. I don't believe Young Avengers is a part of Kevin Feige's plans. I don't believe that's on his chalkboard right now. That doesn't mean it couldn't be in his chalkboard 4, 5, 6, 7 years down the road from now. But as far as what they immediately got up their sleeve and what they're immediately planning, I don't think they do. I don't think they are. Rob, what do you think? Do you think Young Avengers could be in the sketchboard for Kevin Feige right now?
Well, John, it's 2020. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yes, it is.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Beyonder shows up with a linen suit with huge shoulder pads, walking around, and it's played by the Beyonder's played by David Hasselhoff, from Secret Wars 2. I wouldn't believe if you told me that was coming in the next wave of Marvel movies. I'd be like, aight. So at this point, I don't know. I would Young Avengers though. I could see that happening. Maybe it's going to be a series. I could see a Young Avenger because to me, if they put it on Disney Plus and they did a Young Avengers thing, they could feed popular characters off into the features. I mean, it's a way of incubating characters.
Right. But do you think it's part of his plans right now?
No.
All right. So we're kind of on the same page with that. All right. Next up. This comes to us from Tron, who writes, in my opinion, Jamie Foxx is one of the most underappreciated actors. I don't know that he's underappreciated. I think most people know that he's actually quite good. But at any rate, folks still clown him for Electro. Yeah, they give him a bit of a hard time for Electro. But I'd say he's an underappreciated singer, which is weird because he's won Grammys and an Oscar. Which do you think he's better at, singing than acting? I actually don't think he's that great of a singer. Certainly far better than me. But look, the dude is an Academy Award-winning actor for a reason. Right? And I actually believe before it's said and done, he's going to have at least one more of those trophies on his mantle. So he's already an Academy Award winning actor. He is completely legit. He can do comedy. He can do action. He can do heavy drama. He can do biopics. He can do period pieces. He is a Swiss Army knife of an actor and a really good one at that. So I'm definitely going to go, he's a better actor than a singer. Raphael's Creative Style writes, I read some comments that likened Enola Holmes to a youth-aimed movie, so I watched it with that in mind, like a Harry Potter or Narnia film, and thoroughly enjoyed it. I found it utterly charming and entertaining. I look forward to a sequel. You know what? Here's the weird thing, Rob. I don't know if you had a chance to get around to watching Enola Holmes on Netflix yet. Did you get around to watching it?
Not yet, but I really want to see it.
Right, so I will say this. I found it excruciatingly boring. I really didn't like it. That said, though, I'm open to a sequel because there are elements of it that I thought worked really well. Particularly the elements of when Henry Cavill, and I forget the name of the girl who plays Six, the name of the girl who plays Enola. Why am I freezing on her name?
Millie Bobby Brown.
Millie Bobby Brown. The scenes where Millie Bobby Brown and Henry Cavill as Sherlock and Enola Holmes, and hell, Sam Claflin as Mycroft Holmes. I found whenever the siblings were together, whether it was just Enola and Mycroft, or Mycroft and Sherlock, or Sherlock and Enola, whenever any combination of those siblings were together, something about it really clicked for me. And the dynamic between them I thought was really good. And then they'd be off on their own, and I found it boring as all fuck again. I thought it was just I found it a burden to get through that movie. But with some really shining elements. And I'll tell you what, if they do make a sequel like they're talking about, and they give me more of the siblings together, I could be won over because I thought that part of it really sung. When that was going on, I thought otherwise I found it dreadfully boring and nonsensical. And their fourth wall breaking did not work for me at all. Not to mention what is supposed to be the main plot of the movie isn't even an afterthought to the movie. Anyway, I won't spoil anything, but there's just that. But I'm in the minority. The majority of the critics do like it. And so if you haven't checked it out yet, don't be deterred by the fact that I don't like it. There are a lot of people who do. So if you haven't seen it yet and you were interested in it, do go check it out because the majority of the people are enjoying it. And even I like certain elements to it. All right. Next up, Nate Dogg writes, I've noticed some movies will 5 or more studios backing them, while other movies might only have 1 or 2. How many studios are typically involved in making of a movie, and why is there such a big difference between movies? The main thing here, Nate Dogg, for the most part, and Rob, you'll be able to speak to this a little bit better than I, but one of the main reasons why when you look at IMDb and you'll see Warner Brothers, along with Coffee and Tea Crumpets Films, and associated with Fast Five, High Fives films, associated with blah, 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 blah films, is because with a lot of these projects, different people will have different rights. So you might get High Five Productions has the rights to a certain story, and Warner Brothers interested in that. Warner Brothers wants to make that movie. Great. So they'll do it in association with High Five Pictures. And such an actor, they want that actor in it. Well, the actor wants production credit for their, a lot of the big actors these days have their own little production shingles, right? They hang their shingles. So now that's one of the studios that's also associated with it and blah, blah. It's rare that you'll see Warner Brothers and Paramount Pictures presents. That's rare. That one's rare. But the reason you'll see a lot of these other names is because somebody owns the rights to this. Some actor's going to be in, so he wants his shingle to get credit as well. This company kicked in $5 million of the budget, so they get a credit as well because the Warner Brothers wanted to mitigate their risk and their circumstance. So that's mainly it. Rob, you've been around this industry. You've seen a lot of these things. You've been on sets of movies like Lord of the Rings and things like that. Why is it we do see sometimes a lot of these films have multiple studios listed behind them?
Well, like you just pointed out, usually it's because certain entities bring something to the party, whether it's money, they're co-financing deals, whether it's certain elements, like you said, it could be the script, the actual storyline, it could be actors, and actors themselves have their own production shingles, but usually you have to do something. I'll tell you, the movie that I produced for Warner Brothers, my company, Ludovico Technique, has an in association with. So it's Warner Premiere presents a Dark Castle production in association with my own company, Ludovico Technique. We originated the project. We developed the script, and we were going to make it independently, and we brought it to Warner Brothers. So my company got a producing credit because it was our project, but Warner Brothers was the studio making it, and Joel Silver's Dark Castle was the company that wanted to actually make the film, do the actual physical production. So, it usually people who get those kinds of credits at the beginning of the movies have some kind of substantial input in some way to making sure a project gets made.
Dude, I just got an email. So that one little thing I've told you that my movie's in, that got into?
Yes.
I just got an email from them that says, not only did we get in, we're in the final 5 for Best of Show. We're in the final 5 for the jury award for Best Documentary.
I told you, dude.
Don't say. Wait, so I'm not allowed to announce what we've got this thing into yet. They say I'm going to be allowed to announce what it is in the next few days. But I'm very. I'll send. I'm going to forward you the email. I'm going to forward you the email. As your associate
producer, I had no doubts. That's John. That is phenomenal.
Congratulations. It says October 6th is when I'm going to be able to share more of the details, but so keep your eyes open for that. So I'm very excited. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to shuffle that excitement away. I'm sorry, guys. All I want to do is end the show and now go talk to Ann. But anyway, let's keep going. Let's keep going here. Il Postino. One of our favorite guys, El Postino, the postman writes, "Hey, John and Aaron, recently my fiance showed me The Notebook, and to my surprise, I quite enjoyed the film. But then with about 20 minutes to go, she shut off the TV, insisting that the movie was over. Is there a film either of you love but refuse to watch the ending?" I mean, listen, it is truly a standard thing in Hollywood. Landing the ending of a movie is the hardest part. Like setting up, it's not that difficult to come up with a really cool premise, right? It's not that difficult to come up with a pretty cool premise. The real challenge is, can you bring it to a satisfying ending? And I find, Rob, if you were to ask me which of the 3 acts were the weakest, probably 70-80% of the time, the third act is normally the weakest. Normally, it's hard to bring it home. I don't have any movie that at a certain point in the movie, I just turn off the movie, but one that really stands out to me that is a movie that I really like very, very much, like the first 2 acts. And then the third act really falls apart. It's the one with Gerard Butler. I'm going to have to pull up the name of it here now. Something about a citizen, Gerard Butler. Let me just bring his IMDb page. An ordinary citizen. Thank you to Luke's Blade, a law-abiding citizen. Luke's Blade and Rusty. Right, yeah. And Rusty in the comments. Thank you. Law-abiding citizen. That's a movie to me that was not just good for through the first, more than the first hour. I thought it was great. I thought the first 2 acts of that film were great. And then all of a sudden, it gets into this third act, and I cannot find it on IMDb for some reason. Let me see if I can just bring it up so you guys can see. What it is I'm talking about. 2009. Speaking of Jamie Foxx stars in it with him. Law-abiding citizen. First 2 acts are great. So good that even though I thought the third act completely fell apart, I still enjoy this movie. And if I do sit down to watch it, I will watch it all the way through, even the bad third act. But that's one to me that whenever I think about really good movie, but then the third act falls apart. It happens in a lot more films than you'd think, but that's one that really stands out to me. Rob, do you happen to have any film off the top of your head that is a great example of, hey, the first 2 acts are great and then it just wasn't able to stick the landing? Do you have any off the top of your head?
God, off the top of my head, not anything that comes to mind where it totally falls apart. I have to think about that, but nothing jumps into my mind right this second. Yeah,
I'm saying, I know there are many that do that, but the one that I've got the one off the top of my head, and that's Law-Abiding Citizen. So that's the one that sticks out to me. All right, let's move on here. Silly Goose writes, I love the Hellraiser property. The first 2 are among my favorite movies, period. After that, it seems the wrong hands got a hold of the property. They became a parody of themselves. I am hopeful the upcoming HBO Hellraiser series does the lore justice. Rob, I'll tell you what, I was never a huge fan of the Hellraiser series. Pinhead was such a cool, iconic, visually just a cool character, right? And I remember I liked the first Hellraiser when I was a kid. Didn't love the second one, and the other ones were bad too. It's never been a top-notch horror franchise for me, but I know it is beloved by a lot of people. Where's Hellraiser for you?
I really like the first 2 Hellraiser movies a great deal, and it set up such a cool mythology that I have to agree with our viewer. I'll talk about diminishing returns, but I think the first Hellraiser, it's one of my favorite horror movies. I love the theme of it. I love the idea of the Cenobites, and I really liked how they expanded on those ideas in Hellraiser 2 Hellbound. But then by the time you get to Hellraiser 3, one of the Cenobites CD stuck in his head. There's literally a CD head Cenobite. And you're like, really? Yeah, I'm out. I'm out.
All right. Next up, we've got Raj. And Raj writes, hey, John, yesterday someone brought up the 1917 theatrical experience. Honestly, and by the way, by 1917, he means the movie 1917, not what was it like going to the movies in 1917? Honestly, the blazing town scene was one of the best ever for me. I can go to a cinema again just to watch that scene on the big screen. Have seen on YouTube many times since, but it's not the same. No, I agree. Listen, there are just so many movies. Not every movie, Rob. I was talking about this the other day, dude, is that not every movie has to be seen on the big screen. 40-Year-Old Virgin is my all-time favorite comedy. Does not have to be seen on the big screen. But most movies are made for the big screen. The filmmakers have that in mind. And there are a number of movies, Rob, that you will just simply never be able to truly, fully appreciate them if you didn't see it on the big screen. You can love the Lord of the Rings films. You can love them if all you've ever seen them is at home. But you'll never fully grasp it unless you saw Helm's Deep on the big screen with the big picture and the big sound and the audience around you gasping, everything. 1917, I believe, is one of those movies that you can totally love watching at home, but you'll never fully get it. You'll never have that full experience of what that movie has to offer if you didn't see it on the big screen. And I was very lucky that I got to see it on the big screen. Did you? Did you get a chance to see it when it was still in theaters?
Yeah, I did actually. By the way, my battery is dying, so I think
well, you know what? This is the last question we got with you anyway. We're just about at 11:30 anyway.
Dude, I agree. 1917 was a staggering visual experience. So was Dunkirk. You know, I mean, you gotta. There's movies that, look. I think any movie, even the indie drama that costs $300,000 to make, I love any movie on the big screen because it's more enveloping and you lose yourself in it. You know, you don't get up and you don't hear things. You don't. I just like I like being in a darkened theater seeing movies on a big screen because I'm so focused on them. But yeah, I think that's why I love any movie in a theater. I think it's a better experience.
Well, listen, Rob, despite the fact that you didn't have internet in your house today, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you'll be able to have a more solid connection later. But in the meantime, my friend, before we let you go, where can people follow you and your adventures online?
You can find me on Twitter at BurnettRM, find me on Instagram at Robert Meyer Burnett, or find me on my YouTube channel, The Burnett Work, where we have our Intergalactic Imagination Connoisseurs Film Festival going on. Entries are open until December 1st. So make a movie.
Make sure you guys go and check that out. I'm also going to be one of the judges on that film competition. So make sure you guys go and check that out.
Congratulations, John, on your good news today.
Yeah, I'll forward that to you so we can you and I can celebrate that a little bit later, and we'll be able to share this with everybody in just a couple of days. All right, thanks a lot, man, and we will talk to you again soon, my friend. All right, guys, the one and the only, the wonderful Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett, and we still got about 30 minutes here, so let's keep on firing through your questions, guys. Motivated writes, John, I learned years ago to listen closely to individuals that are goal-orientated and driven, and it's a big reason why I listen to your show often. Oh, thanks so much, man. I really appreciate or really enjoy when you speak about your goals because it shows how driven you are as a person. Thanks for that. Well, no, thank you so much. I mean, yeah, I love having the honor of being able to discuss and talk about the things that I love and the things that I enjoy and the goals that I have. I love being able to do that with the fan community as well. So that's always cool. So thank you so much for sharing that, man. That means a lot to me. It really does. Thank you. All right, next up, we've got Man of Steel Rules. Yes, it does. Who tips in $150. Dude, thank you so much for supporting the channel on that level, man. John, I mentioned a while back that I worked at a VA. I remember that very much, and you even sent me some cool pictures from the patients there and everything. That I work at a Virginia hospital and how much everybody loves your show. Oh, thanks so much for that. Well, today they asked me to send you a tip for that drink you always are speaking about, which is, of course, my Zevia Cola. Sponsor me, you sons of bitches. All right, so that Zevia Cola. Well, today they asked me to send you a tip for that drink you always speaking about during the show. FYI, sponsor Campea, you sons of bitches. Well, dude, thank you so much. And honestly, it is one of the more, I get a couple of weeks, like some really special messages from people that share stories, a lot of which I don't share on the show, obviously, but one of the more special ones I've gotten was from you in the past, and especially when you sent me pictures about the different patients there who were in your care that watched the show too. And that, seriously, I remember I shared that one with my wife, and that one meant an awful lot to me. So thank you for that, and thank you for the honor, and to everybody there at the hospital as well. Thank you for the honor of allowing me to be a part of your guys' day as well. That means a lot to me. It seriously does. So thank you so much for that, man. And thank you everybody for the tip, and thank you for supporting the show on that level. Deeply appreciated. All right. The Gerinator writes, Hey, John, I'm glad to hear there is another King Arthur Legend of the Sword fan out there. I am a fan. Everybody hates it. I don't care. I am a fan of that Guy Ritchie King Arthur movie. I am. All right. It has its problems, but I'm a fan of it. I agree the film has its issues, but I still enjoy it. Knowing how it did at the box office, we probably won't get a sequel, but here's hoping. Yeah, we're never going to get a sequel to that. That movie bombed horribly. And two, it's not just that it did badly. Most people didn't like it. I mean, that's just the reality of it. It doesn't matter that I liked it. Most people didn't. And actually, most people hated it. And that's fine. That doesn't mean anything to me. I'm not going to say I loved it, but I quite appreciated that movie. I enjoyed that one with Charlie Hunnam as Arthur. It was basically, it really was Sons of Anarchy, but just with the, Arthurian legend behind it. I mean, that was pretty much it. All right. Alan writes, hey, John and crew, have you seen the news that Jamie Foxx is supposedly coming back to Spider-Man 3 as Electro? As a matter of fact, we've talked about that. What are your thoughts? I personally liked him as Electro, even though the movie he was in wasn't great. I honestly, Rob suggested that a lot of it was a script, and the script is certainly a big part of it. But I think, honestly, even though I love Jamie Foxx as a performer, he's got an Oscar on his mantle for a reason. But I honestly thought part of the problem was his performance. His iteration, his creative choices that he made with the character about how the character should come across a certain scene, compounded with not a gripped scripting of the character, was there. So honestly, not Jamie Foxx's best outing. And his best is world class, but I don't think Electro was his best outing. But anyway, we gave our thoughts on it a little bit earlier. Thanks for writing that in, Alan. All right, next up, we've got Scott Brown. And Scott Brown writes, since you said you really liked Aldous Hodge in Invisible Man, I would like to recommend a show called City on the Hill. I've had a few other people write in about that. It's on Showtime. It stars him as a DA and Kevin Bacon as a crooked FBI agent, and it's based on true events from the early 90s. Yeah, I've heard people talking about that one before. I've had other people write into me to kind of recommend that one. So that might be one I have to check. Yeah, because listen, I don't remember him from a number of the, like Supernatural, he popped in. I don't remember. I remember the episodes, but I can't remember him in it. And I've had a few other people. I only really know him from Invisible Man. But I really loved him in that. I thought he was great. I thought he's got great screen presence. It's going to be great to see how he does moving forward. All right. Next up, the Wakandan Forever writes, John, I saw the post and the photo. Hope you and your family are okay. Take all the time you need. Thoughts and prayers during this time. We love you. Thanks a lot for sharing that. I've had a couple people write in about this, so let me. I'll bring it up here. Give me a moment. So, everybody's grandparents are the greatest grandparents in the world. Right? Everybody's grandparents are the greatest grandparents in the world. My grandparents are the greatest grandparents in the world. My nonna and nonno. And my nonno, my grandfather, hasn't been in the best of health. Hasn't been in the best of health the last year or so. That's my grandfather in the top middle, who I'm named after, Giovanni. And that's him on the left, and on the bottom picture on the left is my grandfather, who's in the top middle, and on my right there is my dad. My grandfather, my nonno, in recent years when I would go home to visit, my favorite part, other than seeing my mom and dad and my siblings and whatever, but my favorite part about my trips home would be visiting my grandparents and my grandfather telling stories about when he came over. My grandfather was the type of man and represented a generation that his whole life was dedicated to making a better future for his family. That's what my grandfather was all about. And so many years ago, with a wife and children at home in Italy, in Calabria, he left them. He had to leave them behind to come to Canada to build a life there. And then he brought the family over and established. So my dad came over when he was younger, and he built a life for them there. And because of what my grandfather did, the life I'm able to have and enjoy today was made possible because of what my grandfather did. And my grandfather passed away yesterday. And again, My family is very lucky in the sense that a lot of people lose family members suddenly, you know? And I think families like mine are the lucky ones that we were, you know, my family's been able to prepare for it. As a matter of fact, just last week, my mom called me to let me know that he wasn't doing well. I mean, he hasn't been doing well for a while, but that it was really now just a matter of time. And so we're the lucky ones. We are. And my siblings and my dad were able to be there and say goodbye. And I wasn't. The reality of the COVID situation means if you are in America and you want to, I can go back to Canada right now. But if I go back to Canada right now, I have to immediately enter 14 days of quarantine, which means I can't, I can't, even if I flew to Canada right now, I can't go to my grandfather's funeral. And I can't be around my grandmother, who is in her late 90s, and I don't know what kind of crud I'd be bringing over from the States. And because I crossed the border, and I'd have to be there for a minimum of 2 weeks and stay in quarantine for 2 weeks. So I can't go to my, that's the part that's killing me. That's the part that's killing me. When my baby cousin Christopher died suddenly a number of years ago, my Uncle Paul, my Aunt Lenora's, my dad's sister, Aunt Lenora, their one and only son, my baby cousin Christopher, passed away suddenly on a soccer field. I was unable to go home for the funeral. At that time, it was because of visa issues. And now I have no visa issues, but there's a pandemic. And if I cross the border, I have to immediately go into isolation and I can't go to the funeral. And one of the things that is killing me right now, sorry, I know this is not the type of bullshit any of you guys tuned into the show today to listen to, but I'm using this as my own personal therapy, all right? I'm using this as my own personal therapy, so bear with me for a minute. But what's killing me right now is that I can't go down and be there for my grandmother, and I can't go down, and it sucks. It sucks. Anyway, but yeah, for those of you who have seen people writing in well wishes to me, that was that. My grandfather, John Campea, was a great man. And he and my nonna raised another great man in my dad. And they also raised some of the best aunts and uncles that a kid growing up in Canada could hope for. And my Aunt Sue, my dad's sisters, Sue, Maria, Pina, Lenora, my dad's younger brother, my Uncle Paul. I mean, that's just what my grandfather and my grandmother did. And lost my grandfather yesterday. Everybody loses grandparents. I'm not special. It just kind of hurts right now that I don't get to go home because of the pandemic. Anyway, guys, thank you for indulging my little sob session. Thank you for indulging my self-indulgent little sob session there. So I appreciate that. Anyway, let's get back to it, shall we? Baby Grandpa Pepper writes, "Hey, bud, why haven't you talked about Raised by Wolves? Interesting that you asked that today. I know it's not your job to review everything, but barely nobody is talking about it. It saddens me. It's an amazing show that no one is watching. Someone with your cred could really up the viewers." So what I have been talking about Raised by Wolves. I've brought it up several times, you know. I said I don't love the show, but I'm into it, you know. I'm into it. You got Ragnar Lothbrok from Vikings is kind of one of the lead guys in the show, and I'll tell you what, I forget the actor's name. Hold on a second. Let me find the actor's name here. there are two key characters, right? There's mother and father, these two androids, mother and father. And the guy who plays father, the android known as father, his name is Abakar Salim is his name. He is riveting as this android known as father. Here's a picture of him as father in the show. He is riveting. And the rest of the show is okay. They do some neat mythology stuff and a few things here and there. But to be honest, I haven't loved it, but I've enjoyed it and I've liked it. And I just saw the finale, the season finale, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know that I'm going to watch season 2. If it does get a season 2, because I thought the season premiere, quite frankly, was poor. And they just zigzag in so many different directions. And by the end of the season, I just realized there's been no questions answered. Like none. No questions answered. The season brings up tons of questions, a lot of weird things going on. But by the time I get to the end of it, I started feeling like they had weird things going on just to be weird. And I don't think you don't have to answer every question in a season, but you can't go through an entire season and not answer any of the questions that you've raised. And so the season finale ended, and I just thought, well, that's weird. And I was left frustrated and unsatisfied. So for the most part, I enjoyed the season, but I really didn't like the way it ended, and it's left kind of a bad taste in my mouth. But I'm telling you, this dude, Abu Bakar Salim, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his name, but this dude as father, I will watch every minute of the show that he's on screen as father. And the girl who plays mother is very, very good too. She's very good too. But I'm telling you, this guy, I just never seen him before. Loved him in this. Anyway, thanks for asking, man. All right, let's see. Let's move on here. James Argenta writes, looks like we're getting 3 multiverse films in 7 months. MCU Spider-Man 3, December 21st. Doctor Strange 2, The Multiverse of Madness, March 22nd. And Flash in July of 22nd. Do you, John and or Rob, think that WandaVision, Spider-Man 3, Doctor Strange will be connected like a small comic crossover? It's funny that you asked that because Rob actually said that specifically earlier, right? Like Rob specifically came out and said he specifically thinks that's exactly what they're doing. Rob said a little bit earlier that he believes they are setting up, much like in a comic series that would then cross stories with other comic series, this is going to be one tied-in story. Now, I don't know if I would go that far, but that you're thinking along the same lines as Robert Meyer Burnett, so great minds. He thinks that exact same thing, so that could be a possibility. Let's keep our eyes on that, James. All right, Magic K writes, since Zack Snyder is a fan of Ayn Rand, who do you think is more of the concept Randian hero in Batman versus Superman? Batman or Superman? All right. So if I'm pronouncing her name right, Ayn Rand, if I'm thinking of the right person, she was like, I believe she was Russian. Like she was an author, writer, came with a lot of philosophical stuff. And in a lot of her things like Atlas Shrugged, she's the person who wrote Atlas Shrugged. Throughout their writings, you got what became known as this concept of the Randian hero. And the Randian hero represented, and I'm no expert on this, so this is me trying to remember a lot of stuff. Like, the idea of self-morals became kind of like, the standard defining thing of a Randian hero is the individual hero's moral compass was like their defining thing. Not what the moral compass of society was or culture or even the greater good, but the individual's moral compass became the main guiding North Star of that character. And there's a bunch of other things that go along with that. In asking the question about which of the characters was more Randian hero, Batman or Superman, I'm going to say Batman was the more Randian hero because one of the hallmarks of a Randian hero is that the Randian hero does not feel a sense of duty to other people. Like, they will do things for other people out of a sense of empathy and out of a sense of kindness, yes, but they don't really feel a responsibility. Like, Spider-Man would be opposite. Because, Uncle said, with great power comes great responsibility. That's not a part of the Randian hero. Kindness, empathy, all other stuff is, other virtues are. But there's not that sense of duty. There's not that sense of responsibility. Because I have this power, I have a responsibility to everybody else around me. That is outside, if I'm remembering it correctly, of your standard Randian hero kind of archetype. Superman definitely does a lot of his stuff and is motivated by his sense of responsibility and his sense of duty. Batman really is more a reflection of that Randian hero archetype than Superman is, at least in my limited recollection of what the Randian hero represents. So I would say Batman is more along those lines. Okay, let's move on here. Frost Nixon writes, and who tips in $25. Thank you so much for supporting the channel on that level, man. Just because you are doing original content films again, can't wait to see it too. Always wanted to ask you about your heritage. I'm both Sicilian and Calabrese. My family's from Calabria, which means stubbornly bullheaded. We moved back to New York when I was 6. Mom always showed she prepared for me what it was going to be like. Of course, it wasn't the 1940s. It was 1979, and I had found out a million aunts. You have a million aunts and uncles, cousins that really weren't, but the money or gifts. I had my communion 2 years later. I never saw, so I swear one more. Did your family still do the old world things like my family? I think about a lot of that, a lot with any person from that same Mediterranean heritage. Have a great weekend, John, Ann, and by the way, Ann, a lot of people want to put an E on the end of her name. Ann, my wife, is just A-N-N. And the multitude of Campea shows, salute. Well, thank you so much for that, Grazie. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, listen, my Italian family, like I said, my grandfather, he came over to do that, right? But then all of his brothers followed. Now, my great uncles, so there's my grandfather Giovanni, and then his brothers, Romolo, Segarlo, Vincenzo, and, there was one more brother. Why am I forgetting? It says Romolo, Segarlo, Vincenzo, Segarlo, there was one more. I'm forgetting the last one. But anyway, they all came over. And a sister. And my grandfather had a sister as well. And they all came over. And then they all started their own clans, basically. There. And so when we would have Christmas was always the best. Because Christmas would come and we'd always go to my grandparents for Christmas. And we always had a fully homemade Italian feast. 7-course feast. Homemade lasagna was always the appetizer. And at these gatherings, like, I'd see all these relatives that I would only see at Christmas time. Like, I have a lot of cousins. I have a lot of cousins and aunts and uncles, and it would be this big Italian brouhaha. And a lot of years, the uncles, I had a number of great uncles who played accordion. And they would all break out at a number of the big family get-togethers. They'd all break out their accordions. And my dad, I guess, picked it up from his uncle. So my dad got in playing accordion too. So every once in a while you get this jam session at our big family get-togethers with all these uncles playing accordion. It was always kind of fun. So yep, I had a bunch of that in there too, Throg. I had a bunch of that in there too. Thank you for writing that in, dude. I appreciate that. All right, Luke1234 writes, are you nervous about your documentary being pirated like John Schnepp's was? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 1,000. Every creator is. 1,000%. You know, it was. Rob and I have told this story for years, but it's true. Like, when I remember, like, so John Schnepp spent like a couple years pouring his blood, sweat, and tears into making The Death of Superman Lives What Happened, right? He worked him and Holly both worked so hard on that. and poured so much of their own finances and their own money and their resources and leveraged everything they had to make this movie. And I'll just never forget, like, the word is not angry. The word is devastated. I remember talking to Schnepp a couple of times. You know, Rob was there for a few of them as well. And he was just devastated when he realized just how many of his fellow fans in the fan community were hurting him and were stealing his movie. And it devastated him because he loved the fan community. Like everything about John Schnepp, he was the king of the sweaties, man. He was the best of us. He represented the fan community and he loved the fan community. And I remember talking to him when he was realizing just how many people in his own fan community were stealing his stuff. It broke his heart. And listen, I'm not stupid. Well, sometimes I am, but generally I'm not stupid. I know there's going to be some people that pirate my movie. I just know that there is. Listen, I'll be honest with you. I'm planning on doing a private screening with like 15 to 30 Patreon supporters. And I'm already like, I'm totally paranoid that one of my own Patreon supporters are going to try to screen capture my movie and then pirate it. I know I admit it's paranoid. It's paranoid, but I know it's going to happen. Not that I know it's going to happen with my Patreon support. I'm just saying I know piracy is going to happen. It just is what it is. And all I can do is hope that enough people enjoy my movie, enjoy the little documentary, and want to purchase it or rent it and want to spread the word about it so that I'm able, hopefully, to not only make my money back, all the money I spent on it, but also be able to make a little bit of money and then use that money to either make or fund another creative project. So, but yes, I'd be lying, Luke 1, 2, 3, 4, if I said I wasn't worried about piracy. Of course I am. It's going to hurt me. The only question is how much will it hurt me? That'll be the what we have to find out at the end. Let's see here. Next up, Jerome Smith writes, "What's up, homies? Somehow, some way, we need a spoiler discussion for The Boys. You know what? When it concludes, I think we're going to have a big open spoiler discussion about the season because the season is absolutely incredible. Anyway, so yeah, I might have to do that. We need a spoiler discussion for The Boys. I know you're a busy man, but how about just doing one after the season finale, the ending of episode 7, WTF, diabolical. It was fantastic. And yes, I think what we're going to do is probably, I think next week's the final episode. Anyway, I think on the Saturday after the final episode, we will do an open spoiler discussion about the season because it's been bonkers. I have loved this season. Absolutely loved it. And I cannot wait for season 3. All right. Jamie in Spider-Man 3 writes, please stop spreading false information or please stop spreading misinformation. My best man at my wedding, his girlfriend works in Sony casting department. I've heard from this person. It's true. Jamie is in talks to appear in the film, but not as Electro. It's actually as Moon Knight as a little cameo to lead into a Disney Plus show. I've heard like other rumors, and like I said during the show, there is a possibility he's not playing Electro. But Jamie, with all due respect, and I will take the word of the Hollywood Reporter for now. What you're proposing is possible. Absolutely. I'm not discounting that. But for now, I'll take the word of the Hollywood Reporter as opposed to one of my viewers has a friend who has a girlfriend that says this. You know what I mean? So while I will absolutely keep that in mind, 100%, the Hollywood Reporter has a really great track record. Not perfect, but a really, really great track record. So for now, I'm going to operate on the assumption for now that he is going to be Electro because that's what the Hollywood Reporter is kind of proposing. As opposed to me saying, I will take, I have a choice. I'll take the word of the Hollywood Reporter or I'll take the word of somebody who watched my show, who has a friend, who has a girlfriend. You know, I'm your brother, sister's, cousin's former roommate. You know what I mean? So but like I said during the show, that is possible. I said it myself earlier. That's a possible situation. But for now, I'm going to operate on the assumption that he's going to be Electro. For now. We'll see what happens a little bit later. Thanks for writing that in, though, man. Because if it does turn out that he's Moon Knight, you called it first. If it turns out he's Moon Knight, you called it first. All right. Mandalorian of Gondor writes, so 2 questions. I'll answer one of them. Of these 3 major Spider comebacks, which do you think is the most surprising? J.K. Simmons as Jameson in Far From Home, Keaton or in Morbius. By the way, we don't know for a fact that he's playing the same character in Morbius. I'm just saying, he probably is, but we don't know that for a fact yet. Or Foxx in Spider-Man 3. And who is the most surprising comeback overall between Keaton? Well, let's talk about that first question. To me, Jamie Foxx as Electro, if he is indeed playing Electro, Jamie Foxx as Electro is by far the more surprising. Because at least with JK, everybody had been saying I've been saying I'd love to see JK back. But JK was beloved as J. Jonah, right? He was beloved. People didn't like Jamie Foxx's Electro. So for that, to me, if it turns out, that to me will be the more surprising one, for sure. All right, Captain Blue Pants writes, I think if 3 years ago we'd heard that J.K. Simmons would be in Far From Home, we would have been like, WTF, Electro could be in the film for merely minutes. And it's true. Even if he is Electro, and even if he is in it, it could be just for a brief appearance, just like J.K. Simmons. But like I just said earlier, Captain Blue Pants, it was less surprising because everybody wanted him back as J. Jonah, right? Everybody wanted him back as that. I don't think I've ever heard anybody said they wanted this Electro character back. So that to me is what makes that a little bit more surprising. All right, Wakanda Forever writes, I was crazy for the woman, man. I used to call her every night. Is this weird science? Every damn night. I mean, devotion, man. I ain't playing with you on the telephone. This boy talking on the telephone. Of course, it's got to be the telephone, man. Weird science, a classic. Why did I don't even remember that line. Why did I know? I don't even remember the line. I read the first couple lines you read and I'm thinking, is that weird science? But I don't actually remember it being in there. Anyway, I love these little quotes, man. Thanks for that. All right. Last question of the day, guys, and then we've got to wrap things up. Fabian Vegas writes, greetings from Amsterdam. Well, greetings, Fabian. I'm so excited. Starting next week for 3 weeks, I will be seeing the extended editions of Lord of the Rings in theaters. Nice. In times like these, it's so surreal to have something to look forward to again. Stay safe. Well, that is great. And listen, we've been talking for months now about that silver lining. I mean, everything's crap, but even within crappy situations, you can find some little silver linings. And one of the silver linings for a lot of film fans has been, hey, you know what? I got to see this classic movie that I had either A, never seen before, or B, never seen on the big screen, the way it was meant to be seen. And so I've had so many people writing in that they got to see The Lord of the Rings, either the regular theatrical or the extended edition, that they got to go see Empire Strikes Back, that they got to see The Godfather or Back to the Future, films that they said, I've loved these movies for years, but I never saw them on the big screen. Again, it doesn't make everything else okay, but it's at least a little silver lining in this crap storm that we've been living in for the last 6 or 7 months. So I'm glad you had that experience, man. All right, listen up. For Casey, McNatt, Chris Warden, Chris, and everybody on up, listen, we've run out of time today, but don't worry. When we start the live questions part of the show tomorrow, you guys will be the first ones up. So we will get through all the leftover questions from today. We do have a handful of them left over. We've just simply run out of time right now, but we will start off the live questions part of the show with yours. You sent them in. They're going to get answered properly on the show, so keep your eyes open for that. Guys, that will do it for me for today, for this installment of the John Campea Show. Remember, guys, once again, if you haven't done so already, just take a moment right now, go over and click that subscribe button, become a subscriber to the channel, keeping you up to date on all the stuff that we got going on here, of course. Guys, thank you for making this show part of your day. A special thank you to all of you who did send in those questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about, but number two, you supported this channel at the same time, and all of us here, thank you very much for that. That will do it for me for now, guys. Do the 4 main important things. Stay smart, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and take care of the people around you. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.